Good morning guys, Chris at the Ultimate Recycler. This is my home workshop and you see many projects on this table in the middle, and you may see in the background the workshop's a bit of a mess. I've never really quite got set up properly. I've only been in here a couple of years since we bought the house, and we renovated the house first. The shed got used to just dump things. I have put the old heater in here, but it's behind stuff at the moment. I'll be getting that going again in winter. However, today's project is a bit of a renovation. These old louvre windows in the corner of the shed here, they need replacing. I've extended a workbench across there, but I haven't set things up properly yet. It's just been used to dump things. But I need to replace those windows because we are going to have a cold winter. We usually do. And I have got insulation now in the roof, which helps, and it stops the, when we have a frost, it stops the water dripping off the beams now by having it insulated, which is great. And I've started lining some of the walls. Sorry if these fluoro lights are strobing a bit. So, and I'm insulating as I'm going. So we're getting the place sorted out gradually. But the next job is these old louvre windows. They don't really keep the cold air out or anything. And I reckon I can make a much neater job of that wall. So let's go and have a look from outside. So there you can see the windows. They're original to the shed. When the shed was built, it's basically a farmer built shed, probably in the early 70s. Got a nice lemon tree here, which we're going to keep, of course. But I need to replace these windows. I'm going to pull the cladding off today. This won't be an instructional video at all. I'll just take you on a bit of a journey of the improvement of my shed. I need to clean up some of the clutter here. There's a lot of that old steel was just in the ground when we cleaned up some of the garden. There's some pea straw stubble which we use for mulch, and a bit of junk's just been piled there. We've made some dirt bays on this side, which has been handy when we've been working on the garden. And I've got some old aluminium windows here. Hopefully one's about the right size. So there won't be really any new materials. I'm just reusing what I've got. I will insulate the wall with some insulation that I've actually got out of building skips. So a great project that shouldn't cost me much. I'll be reusing what I can, and it'll improve the shed, no doubt. So the first job this morning, I'm going to clean up this area here, give myself some room to work, and I'll have to take some of the cladding off here and look at getting those windows out first. A view from inside now. I've got the top pieces off and I can see the framework. So I don't think I'll need to take the cladding out below the windows, because hopefully there's a good sort of ledge there to sit the new window on. There should be, because that frame should have been attached to something. It wasn't attached to anything at the top. So we'll go outside and have a look from out there. So you can see it's not much of a dismantle, really just those pieces of cladding off the top. I shouldn't have to touch the bottom, and when I lined in there I actually did already have insulation in the bottom. So we'll take this louvre window frame out next. I'll probably actually take the louvres out of each frame first and then take the frame apart. And then we'll fish through our new windows, our replacement windows, and see which one fits the best. We're going to have to chop that cross rail because the window is going to be a bit higher, and then we'll have to frame in. I would imagine it's going to be about probably 2 of those bays instead of 3, which will be good because it'll give me a little bit more wall space inside. I've selected this first one. I think it's probably in the best condition, and it's a slightly shorter window. This other one here's got a bit of rot at the bottom. I think it's the same size as the first one. And the third window I have is much longer, and I have a possible spot for that down the track when I build a bit of an extension on my shed. So back to the wall. We've got the louvers out and the frame. The frame pretty much fell apart. It wasn't in very good condition. Now I need to just measure up exactly where I want this window. I'm going to go off that center pole, and it's nice and vertical, and the board, or at least the finish of the frame that I've got in there, is pretty well level. So I should be able to sit the window up against that post, but I'm going to have to chop that rail out, as I said. I don't think it's necessarily a structural rail. I think it's really just put there to provide somewhere to anchor the cladding, so I could probably take it right out and then frame around the window opening to the right size. Okay, back at this job tonight, and I'll tell you, I need to get this window in soon. It's freezing tonight. It's hard to believe that a week ago it was summer, and we've got a cool southerly breeze, and it's quite chilly, and the wind's blowing straight through from my shed from the other end there. You can see through. right through to this non-window. Anyway, I've started framing up. I've put a piece of pine up against the old frame here, and what I've done is I've actually notched it out around that rail, and the top of that piece of pine up there is exactly the right height for the window, so I can put a beam across the top. I thought I'd leave this in and anchor this, and then I can just cut that off flush with the saw once it's all finished, once the frame's finished. And I've anchored this piece in to the existing framework. There's a bit of hardwood framing here that actually is attached to the pole. I like using these, I think they're a bugle head hex drive. They're sort of a heavy duty wood screw. I do pre-drill and also use a smaller drill into the hardwood, but they pull in really nice. They're countersunk, they're nice and flat, and you just need a little hex drive on your drill, and they're really nice to use. You can really get a lot of torque on them, and they pull right in, and they don't actually fall off the fitting, so they're good to use. Great for this sort of building. Alright, so that bit's secure. I'll now work out my lengths for this end, and I'll put a piece of timber from where I need to, just sitting on this because I know this is level, and I'll take it right up and I'll notch out over that piece, and then I'll also let this one into the top piece, and then once we get all that secured and square, we can then take this middle rail out, and I'll have the top one put across as well. And then we're pretty right just to lift the window in. These windows are pretty easy to install. When they've got the timber reveal on them, you basically just build a frame, slot them in, and just nail them through the reveal into the frame. I will make the frame just slightly wider, so I may need a little packer on top. It's much easier to have a window that lifts in and sits neatly rather than having to tap one in with a hammer because it's a bit tight. So I'll try and get a bit more of this framing done before I run out of light tonight. Okay, with thanks to Coco's immeasurable help, we managed to get all the framing done. The top piece across there is just sitting there for now, but so what I'm going to do is cut that old rail out. I have these verticals all joined up and securing everything, and I'm hoping to get the window in today. It's a nice sunny day and they're forecasting rain on the weekend, so I better get this all finished, or at least weatherproof. So what I'm going to do now is chop the old rail out. As you can see, the window is now installed. I've put the rail across the top. It's all screwed in through the reveals to the frame, and I'm very happy with that. It came up great. I did notice there's a little crack in the bottom right hand corner, but that won't matter. I'll just put a bit of silicone across that. It's fine for a shed window. We have a fly-wire screen off the other window that will suit this, so it'll be good for cooling down the shed after a hot day. I'll get a bit of breeze through. Good light onto the workbench, and it gives me a bit of wall space at the end there to put up some more shelving. It's now the next day, or pushing into the evening, and the wet weather has hit, so as you can see I've got the outside cladding all back on. I just used all the little bits of tin that I had, and I did have to find one other bit for this larger area, which is rather second-hand. I think you can see there's a few holes through it, but I'll just dab a bit of silicone on those holes. This side of the shed doesn't really catch a lot of weather, and it has a bit of an eave over the top. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with how that window's gone in. We haven't spent a single cent on any new materials. It's all secondhand stuff. The window came out of a sunroom in the house that we dismantled. I think I mentioned at the start of this video. Even all the screws I used were all secondhand ones. The timber were just offcuts, and some of the bits I actually had found in rubbish skips from the builders. So very happy with that. It's going to really be a good improvement on my shed. So what I have to do now is just neaten up this bottom board and attach that, and I'll put some shelving on that far side, and I'll also I'll line it inside as well and put a bit of insulation in there, and then the shelving, and that'll complete this part of the shed. And I can set up a bit more, get rid of some of this junk over here. I've got a sandblasting cabinet to set up. There's an old gypsy table there upside down that needs repairing, and we've also got something else clamped in here to straighten it out. So I'll be able to get back onto some projects and bring you some more interesting videos. So thanks for watching that. As I said, not really an instructional video, just showing you how you can improve your place just with secondhand bits. And it's amazing what you can find if you go out dumpster diving occasionally. There's a lot of good materials get thrown out. So thank you for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye.